Welcome back to the second episode of the Upland Show. I am LOYLDOYL.
And I am McSqueeb. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you coming back for episode 2. We hope you enjoyed episode 1. Episode 1 was all about what Upland is. Episode 2 today is all about how to be successful in Upland. Now, we are not going to go into explicit detail about all the details and how-tos of being successful. There's a lot of strategies, there's a lot of tips and tricks, a lot of lessons that we're going to be presenting to you, but we're primarily going to be doing those in short-form videos that will be posted in our as part of our podcast and on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're really excited. We'll probably do about 5 to 10 minute really specific how-to guides of ways that we are successful in Upland. But as Vince was explaining, for this episode, we're going to just do high-level strategies, the way we think about Upland and the way we measure our success.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's going to be four high-level topics we're going to be talking about tonight. One is some third-party resources that you can access to be successful in Upland, and we'll show you a little bit about how to use that. But again, we're going to be making multiple videos about the details of how to use that in those videos that LOYLDOYL just mentioned. But we're going to talk a little bit about third-party resources tonight. We're also going to be talking about the saga, the incredible story of 2021 9th Avenue, Oakland, California. And we hope you enjoyed that little story. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Chicago, what's happening with Chicago. You know, we mentioned last episode that Chicago is one of 3 Tier 1 cities. It was just recently released, and there are still properties to be minted. And we'll talk about what that means and how to do that. And then maybe just a little bit about strategies about how to, once you've minted a property, what to do with that property to start making money. And then finally, we're going to talk about the power of collections and the interest that you can earn from making collections. And before we get to that, let me just preface that particular topic by asking my buddy Tyler LOYLDOYL here, how much, Tyler, do you make a month in interest? How much are you being paid a month in interest just from the amount of properties and collections that you own?
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I didn't expect to be earning this much, you know, on a residual basis just from Upland paying me for the properties that I own. But currently I'm earning about $1,600 a month. But what's crazy is if you measure the strategies we put in place, I would only be earning $500, but because of the strategic properties I bought in collections, I'm earning $1,600, which is crazy. Monthly, the game just pays me that for the properties that I own.
Yeah, that's either rent or it is a monthly Tesla payment. So that's fantastic. Now, so if you don't know if you caught what he just said, but the game does pay you interest for the properties that you own. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is that there are strategies that you can leverage to maximize how much interest you're actually getting per month. So we'll talk a little bit about that. That's one of the strategies we will be discussing. So again, this is episode 2 of the Upland Show. Let's dive right in on how you can be successful in Upland. Okay. So I mentioned third-party tools, and you cannot create a third-party tool, or a third-party tool cannot exist unless the devs or owners of a particular software or service or online web service does not share its API. The API for Upland is out available on GitHub.
Yeah.
And so a few third-party programmers got together who were fellow Uplanders and said, well, you know what? There's some rudimentary functionality in the game. We want to improve that by creating some companion or support tools out here on the side that allows and helps players, fellow Uplanders, to not only kind of look at some data, but to make intelligent choices.
Yeah, and really to play this game effectively, I really think upx.world, upx.world, is the number one tool that out there right now, because the game doesn't tell you. The game does not offer us within the app or on the desktop, within the browser. It does not tell us the level of data and detail that upx.world currently provides
Right.
us. So to really make smart buying decisions and to play this game successfully, I think the best players all are going to upx.world on a regular basis, because the data there really helps us make really intelligent buying decisions and selling decisions.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so before we dive into upx.world, let me first say that for those of you who are gamers, you're probably familiar with Discord. You're going to want to ensure that you are subscribed to the Discord Upland, or the Upland Discord channel, so that you get the latest announcements, the latest live event happenings, and so you can also interact with your fellow Uplanders. So that's just one third-party tool that we want to mention is Discourse, and make sure you subscribe to the Upland channel. Now, upx.world that Tyler was just mentioning is upx.world, or upx.world. That's the URL. Go there, and then you can immediately, you don't have to log in, you don't have to create an account, you can immediately start analyzing content, properties, and data as based on addresses, based on neighborhoods, or even based on fellow users. All this is pulling from the blockchain using, or at least from the blockchain through the API with Upland. So, Tyler, LOYLDOYL, would you kind of just walk through maybe the high level kind of chunks or categories of data that's here?
Yeah, I'll share the screen really quick. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/The Upland Show, you can actually watch us share our screen live, in case you're just listening on the podcast sites. So the high level things that upx.world allows us to do is to really analyze the history of a property and the details of that property, what it's worth, how much does the game pay you, what collections is it in. There's lots of different things to learn about each property within the game and the value or the return that you can get on that property. And you benefit highly in this game. I truly believe I've been able to make a lot more money in this game from studying data within upx.world. So you can do things, as Vince was explaining, you can search neighborhoods. Big data properties is essentially all the data in Upland about all the different properties that are out there. And if we click into this is one of my favorite ones to, for whatever reason, it's like it's struggling sometimes. But
well, let me just say this. Let me interject and say this. Okay, so this website, this is just me, but I would say that the intent and I guess objectives behind, or intended objectives behind this website, A+. Okay, this site has incredible potential. The actual execution of it, there's some bugs. There's some challenges, maybe some UI issues. It's not the most user-friendly tool, and sometimes it's just, quite frankly, frustrating. But I know that this site was recently acquired by the top player in the game. His name is Venom, I think his name is?
Yeah, Venom.
Venom, all right. So
yeah, he has the most net worth in the game, so he is great. He recently joined as well, and he came in strong and bought a ton of properties and bought a bunch of, I think he bought more than one of the landmark properties as well.
Okay. So this guy comes in, he starts, kind of playing like a big dog, like a big boy here in the game. And not only obviously loves the game, but he went ahead and purchased the third-party tools. And we understand from him that he's going to be improving upon this website. All right. So what do we got here? What are we looking at?
And Venom's account.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is cool.
Right.
So this is an example. You can actually go in and see the history of any player. So if you're like, wow, that guy's killing it in this game, I want to go study
What he's done.
his
His game.
how his game. You can actually go in and see, all the activities and history of this player, the properties that he's buying. Looks like he's been buying a lot in Chicago. Looks like these are all newly minted properties. So looks like he's just going after a lot of different neighborhoods and buying up properties in Chicago. So it's really cool. You can go in and actually study the strategies of different players.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Tyler, is it working where you can kind of go back and you can just kind of step through the kind of major categories of functionality on the website?
Yeah, let's see. I don't think, for whatever reason, the links aren't working on the website, but I can go through and explain all the different categories
cool.
and sections. So we covered there's different neighborhoods you can study. Big data properties will actually show you details at a property level, all the different transactions that have happened with that property. User statistics and information, this is what we were just going through, where you can actually look at a player and see all their history, and that's the beauty of blockchain. That's the beauty of why this technology, I think, has a lot of trust behind it. And people, there's nothing the game can do that's sketchy. Everything is measurable, and you can actually see what each player is doing, properties they're buying. So the players all have at their fingertips the ability to make sure that this game's running smoothly and there's no sketchy stuff happen on the back end. There's no back end trading or stupid stuff like that. The next tool is Find My Send. We can explain this in another how-to video, but actually where you can see where to get more sends, and sends in the game actually allow you to teleport and get around to different properties that you want to buy. So it's very important to know about this tool, that you can use it. And then the last one is Leaderboards, where it actually shows us who sold the most properties last week, who visited the most property, who had the most people visit properties that they own. So these are different leaderboards that the game runs, and actually with some of these leaderboards, if you study them, there are also ways you can make more money in the game by winning these contests on a weekly basis.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So this is upx.world. Now, on the homepage of upx.world, we just saw an advertisement, a banner ad for upx.land.
Yeah, up2.land.
Yeah, what's the difference between upx.world and up2.land?
So I believe up2.land will be an extension of upx.world in the future. Venom, again, the player who acquired this website from other players in the game. He's now kind of the owner of this website and is working with the developers of this website, is also in the future building a new website called up2.land, which I am super excited about what they've been telling us about what will come with this website. This website will actually, up2.land will allow us to sell pretty much property tools. It's going to bring more tools for us to mass sell properties, because for those of us who own 1,000 or more properties in the game, it would be nice if we could list 20 of them, 30 of them, 50 of them at a time.
Based on criteria.
Yeah, based on criteria, opposed to one at a time.
Right.
And honestly, because of some of the things they've been promising us about this website, I've stopped listing a lot of my properties for sale, because I'm so excited for how much time I can save with some of these tools that they're telling us will exist in the near future.
Right. So up2land is going to be more functionality based, whereas upx.world right now is really kind of more of a data analysis website. Correct?
Exactly.
They're not going to merge the two, where you can have the data side and the...
I mean, it's possible. It's possible they'll merge them in the future. I mean, the same guy owns both of them, so I imagine they'll probably sync. I mean, maybe what they're actually telling us is upx.world will be converting to up2.land. I'm sure both the URLs will refer to one or the other, but I imagine they'll be joining them into probably one cohesive website.
All right, very cool. So the gauntlet has been thrown down, and Venom. If you'd like to be on the show, and Venom, and help us understand your vision as to where you're going to be taking these two properties or these two third-party tools, we would love to have you on board. We could do Zoom or whatever, whatever. Okay, so now why don't we do this, Tyler? Okay, so what I'd like to do, I mentioned earlier that the next episode, or the next little, agenda item in this particular episode is the saga of 2021 9th Avenue in Oakland, California. And by saga, I mean story. I mean the drama that that ensued upon this particular property. Okay, so let me start off by saying this: sometimes those who run Upland not only are just sitting by casually and watching us go around buying and selling, they will do these little drawings or little giveaways.
Yep.
Or like little challenges where almost like little scavenger hunts within the city where we go and we find certain landmarks or certain iconic locations in the city, and we end up, whoever is the successful person to get there first gets some type of monetary award or valuable property.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, Chicago is the third Tier 1 city to be released in Upland. It's still currently in play, meaning that there are a ton of properties that have not yet even been minted. Not haven't even had their first owner yet. They're just sitting there as virginous properties waiting for anyone to come along and purchase. Like right there, those lime green.
Let's give an example here. So you can see my character, LOYLDOYL, is floating around in Upland right now. The players are constantly moving, and you can see all these lime green properties. These are ones that these light gray properties are ones that are in discoverability range, but these lime green properties are properties that I can purchase from the game right now.
Right. And we'll get into all these different colors and how to buy properties. Certainly, there are properties that you can buy from the game as a minted property, meaning that there has been no previous owner. There are properties that you can purchase from other owners, because remember we talked about how when you buy a property, you can sell it to others. So really, the number one activity as far as buying is going to be buying from another seller. Whereas what we're watching here, if you're actually watching along on YouTube, Tyler LOYLDOYL just purchased, looks like 3525 West 57th Street in Chicago, and it's now being minted on the blockchain. So he just purchased that from the game.
Yeah, for $4.50.
For $4.50
or 4,500 upx.
Right. Okay. So we'll talk a little more about that, but the reason why I bring all this Chicago stuff up is because I want to talk about, again, 2021 9th Avenue in Oakland. Well, you might ask the question, Vince, a.k.a. McSqueeb, what does Chicago have anything to do with 2021 9th Avenue in Oakland, California? Well, I am here to tell you, my friends, what Chicago has to do with that. So the devs at Upland decided to give away a few rare properties in the form of police stations in Chicago.
Ultra rare, actually, which are the most exclusive properties in the game. There's not very many.
Right.
There's probably 100 or less ultra rare properties in the game.
Yeah, so ultra rare properties are the ones you really, really want. They might be expensive, but when you get those, they pay you maximum interest.
These are first edition Pokemon cards. They're not just Pokemon cards that existed in the early 90s. They're Pokemon cards that are the first released Pokemon cards, essentially. That's how I look at ultra rare properties. They're super valuable.
Yeah, super valuable. And so the game will eventually, what they do is sometimes they'll roll out these ultra rare properties in various different methods. But for Chicago, what they decided to do is they said, okay, hey everybody in Discord, they said, we're going to create a giveaway. And we're going to be giving away a few police stations in Chicago. They're ultra rare properties, which means to all of us Uplanders, that's something you freaking want, and you want it bad. And so what they did is they said, to enter into the giveaway, you have to, between now and 24 hours from now, purchase or sell a property with the street address of 2021, because that's the year in which we live currently right now, right? So again, to enroll into this giveaway or to register for the giveaway, you had to buy or sell a property with 2021 in the address. Well, I don't have any in my current inventory of properties, any addresses with 2021.
Yeah.
So I couldn't just sit there and hope that someone would buy my property. I had to go and buy.
You got to take initiative to try to earn one of those.
So my little avatar guy was sitting there floating around in Chicago. So my immediate action was to find any properties in Chicago with the address of 2021. So using the tools inside the game, I started searching for that address, and every address that I went to literally had just been purchased seconds before I got there.
Yeah.
And by the way...
And so what you do is you zoom out on the map.
Yeah.
And you use the search tool and you type 2021, right? And hope that something pops up. You know, the game sometimes doesn't work, so you kind of zoom in at a different level, type 2021, boom. And I imagine everyone was on a mass scramble like this, just clicking.
Yep.
You know, here's a property with 2021 in the address. Yep. Okay, it's not, someone already owns it. Yep. It's not for sale. Go to the next one.
Yes. So I was scrambling. This is like a Friday afternoon, or I don't know, Tuesday afternoon, whatever it was, sometime this last week. And all of a sudden that announcement came out in Discord: buy a property or sell a property with the address 2021 to register for this ultra rare giveaway. And I'm telling you, within seconds, people were snatching up all the 2021 addresses in Chicago.
Yeah, I actually got 5 of them.
Right.
I'll be like,
right.
Not trying to show off, but like I realized Chicago is on this grid system, and I was just scrolling like this, right? 2020, you know, just going and like so there's 2 I got back to back because I realized it's on this grid system.
Yeah.
And I was just floating around buying these things.
Yeah. All right. So Tyler here, super responsive. He saw the Discord announcement and went out and snagged like 5. I, on the other hand, I'm a little bit slow on the uptake. And somehow I read the announcement and thought about it for a second and went out there to Chicago, couldn't find anything. Everything was already bought within seconds with the address of 2021. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm screwed. I'm not going to be able to get this, this ultra rare property. And so what I did was, I started searching for any property in the game with the address of 2021, right? Well, I find this, to make a long story short, I eventually found a property in Oakland, 2021 9th Avenue in Oakland, that was for sale for like 19,000 upx, or in other words, $19.
Wow.
So I was like, that's the cheapest I've seen, because some other people who had already bought them were already snagging them and then listing it for like...
It was way competitive.
Yeah, and they were listing for like $40, right? So I find this one in Chicago for $19. I'm like, dude, I'm just going to grab it. So I bought it for $19, okay, or 19,000 upx.
Well, let's pull up this property. Let's pull up the history here. I actually pulled it up already. We can actually see the history of this property, when it was originally purchased, the date, and all the history of all the different purchases that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So... okay, so Tyler has it up. Again, we went to upx.world, right? So the reason why I'm telling you the story is because it facilitates a little bit of the value for you to understand the value of upx.world, but also because of the amazing amount of economic theory that this exemplifies, that this illustrates. Okay, so scroll all the way down.
I'm going to scroll and make it a little bit bigger if you're watching on YouTube on the screen.
Yeah,
so we can go through.
Which helps me because I'm freaking blind.
So we can see it was originally minted by Stens on April 24th, he purchased this property from the game. This was the original purchase price. He bought it for $2.56.
Okay.
Okay.
And remember, the date is April 24th.
He sold it about a week later, or perhaps he traded it because the upx values. No, actually sold. Or no, I think he traded it, and then Higgy Math sold it for $5,120, so for $5.12. So you can see it almost doubled in value in a week.
Right.
Which is pretty crazy.
Okay, so in a week it doubled in value. So Higgy Math 1 sold it for, I will describe his name as Chum Shot. You can interpret that in another way if you look at his name. But so he's then sold it. So Chum Shot sold it not for much more, though. You might want to step up your game there, Chum Shot. He sold it for 5,900 upx for just another 800 upx.
Yeah,
upx.
He probably, after the fees that you get from buying and selling fees, I don't even know if he made money. He pretty much sold it for what he bought it for.
Right. So he adds another 80 cents to the value, even though there are fees with every purchase, he probably didn't make much. Now he sells it for 58 to Natho. Looks like Natho bought it for 5,900 or whatever, 1,500. He turns around and sells it to this other dude for
$7.75.
Yeah, so he made about $1.80 or so, a little less because of the fees. Now the other guy, XX Lupus XX,
about the same increase, only about $2 or less.
Yeah, so these guys,
and look how fast. We're talking less than a week on each sell, except for some of these early ones. But at this point, we're talking people are buying and selling it in less than a week. Yeah. And this challenge, the 2021 challenge, hadn't even been announced yet.
Right, yeah.
And it's just a random property selling that often.
Right. So the 2021 challenge I mentioned earlier didn't happen until like June. But we're still looking at the history prior to that 21 challenge. So then XX Lupus XX sells it for 9,400 epics to this guy, or this person, I should say, Lou12NY. He bought it
on May 30th.
For May 30th for 9,400. Turns it around and sells it for $9,999. Like,
and you know what's crazy about that sell? It happened the day before the challenge was announced.
Right.
Like the challenge wasn't actually even hadn't even started yet. Because I believe you bought yours within an hour of when the challenge was announced, right? You had purchased this property.
Correct.
So yeah, look, this was the day before.
Yeah.
So it sold for a small increase.
Right, and we're not laughing
like that
at
poor
you.
Guy.
We're not laughing at you, Lou12NY. We're laughing with you. Okay, so and then
it's kind of sad.
Right. So Grivik buys it for $9,999.
This Grivik let's just say this Grivik guy might have some insider information. Let's be skeptical a little bit.
All right. So then he sells it to Overs Drive, literally like
the next day.
For twice or almost twice the amount.
Had made $7 on his investment.
Made $7. Okay. So then who the heck? Oh, so he bought it for $16,000, and then he lists it for $19,999, and then that's the time
the challenge was announced.
Yes,
this guy realized he oversolved, realized he owned a property, and listed it for sale for $3 more. And it looks like you, McSqueeb, took advantage of that and bought a 2021 property once the challenge had started. So this means oversolve.
Yeah.
And you now are entered in the contest for one of those police station properties.
Yeah.
Because the contest was within the next 24 hours, buy or sell a property with 2021 in the address.
Yeah. So when I bought it, I am McSqueeb. I bought it at 12:22 a.m., which really wasn't 12:22 a.m. It was like more like 6 p.m. or something like that. But wherever this, I don't even.
That's
I have
like
no idea
world time or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like the middle of the Pacific or something. But anyway, I bought it for $19,999, and I realized something, and that is there are
Supply
others.
and demand, baby.
There are others out there who want a 2021 address to purchase to get into this drawing. So I immediately sold it for 44,288. So I
So
flipped,
look at this, man. From April 24th to June 9th. That's what? April, May. That's less than
6
2
weeks.
months away.
5,
That's
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
The property went from being purchased for $2.56 to $44.
Right.
Man, that's crazy.
Which
in
is
2 months.
right.
Something went from $2 to $44.
Right. So that is a growth or a margin or I don't know, just a return of 1,600%.
Dude, and what's crazy is actually everyone only made a small percentage increase. Other than the first sell,
Right.
about doubled his Higgy math, about doubled his investment,
Right.
and no one else. The whole time it was increasing. They were only making about a 10 to 20% increase
Right.
on their investment until the supply and demand of this game caused
Right.
you to be able to sell it. You actually made more increase than anyone else, and that was the last sell this property has had
Yeah.
in its history. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And so, and it's not because I'm like this, real estate, upland tycoon by any means. What happened is that the game, by creating this giveaway for any address within those select cities, so when I say select cities, within a limited amount of addresses or cities that are actually available in this game to purchase from, how many of those addresses actually have 2021 in the street address? Well, I mean, yeah, sure, every city probably has a few, but
Not very many.
Not very
There's
many, right?
probably less than 500.
So, and there's like 160,000
And there's
players in this game.
150,000 or more monthly players of this game.
So what they did was the owners, devs, whatever you want to call them, the controllers of this game created in that instance an amazing amount of scarcity. And they created this little microcosm, this little study of supply and demand and economic theory. And
Which you studied in college, right?
yeah, I have
Was
an
it
economics degree, but I barely got by.
No, I'm sure you know more than the average person, though.
But anyhow,
don't be
the point
too modest
is the
about
point
it.
is that I got lucky that, and a lot of people did too as well. When you have scarcity, that's when the price drives up, and so I was fortunate enough to, for that particular property, make a little profit because of what they did, not because of what I did.
Well, again, you're being humble. You doubled your money in one day. You doubled your money in like an hour.
Yeah.
And not only that, you got entered into a contest to win a property that's probably worth $10,000 now.
Which I did not win, by the way.
But
yeah.
you could have.
Right. But okay, so that's 1,600% growth. That is similar to buying a house at $300,000 and then selling it within a month for $5.1 million. Does that ever happen? It does not. Imagine.
Yeah. It went from $2.56 to $44.
Yeah.
That is insane.
It's unbelievable.
Amount of that's $2,500 to $44,000.
Yeah. Now imagine. Okay, so I have right now I think I hold about 600 or 700 properties. If I could just make 50% increase on every property that I purchased, which isn't unreasonable to expect.
Not at all. No, I actually think that's conservative at the rate this game is growing right now.
Yeah. So, you can immediately start to gain, wealth, if not, just your value in this game. And you just keep doing that. You keep buying and selling and flipping. That's one of the strategies that we'll create a how-to video on, is buying the floor, waiting for a bit, and selling at what the floor is. As the floor rises, sell it just a little bit below that floor, just crush it and sell all those, and then buy more, and then just keep repeating that process. Yeah. You can make a lot of money in this game.
and that's actually a great leeway into our next topic, which is Chicago. Chicago is currently the only city in the game, and there's like 10 or so cities that exist right now that you can still mint properties from the game. And one of the strategies that both Vince and I like to focus on is buying at the floor. Vince just used the term the floor. So, again, this is something you can use upx.world for. You can go into the tool and actually find the cheapest property in Chicago to mint. The tool will actually tell you, and we'll make a how-to video about this, to buy the cheapest property in Chicago, which we call buying at the floor. You can also zoom out, and I'll show you again if you're watching on YouTube live, youtube.com/the Upland Show. If you zoom out on all of Chicago and you click this button, let me go to take off your camera. There are buttons in the bottom right corner of the map. Looks kind of like a spatula. It's in between the key looking button and the pin looking button. And you can actually see the cheapest property for sale. It will sort by all the properties that are for sale in Upland and show us, okay, I'll actually buy this one live right now. For $2.69, this property is for sale. This is the currently, at this very moment, the cheapest property you can buy in Chicago. That is for sale. So let's say, and the cool thing is, tomorrow, by tomorrow, I'll bet nobody can buy a property for $2.69 in this game. That's probably the cheap. Every day, the floor, meaning the lowest cost property in a given city, is constantly rising in this game.
Yeah.
So at any given time, doing the strategy we just showed you is a good investment on your money. Buying the cheapest property in a city is always just like something I learned from a very wealthy person, in the real world, was to buy the nicest house, buy the cheapest house in the nicest neighborhood.
Right.
As an actual investment strategy in real estate.
Right.
That is exactly what that is doing. Buying the cheapest house in a big city.
Right.
And that was the cheapest property that exists in the game in all of Chicago. And dude, that's hard to do in the real world. That's hard to pull every property that's currently for sale in a city. But this game makes it very easy to just click that one button and immediately buy the cheapest house in a given city.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, do me a favor, just real quick. This has nothing to do with anything, but can you go back to that property you just purchased?
Yeah, what one was it?
Just zoom in. I'm sure your guy's still sitting on it. Or close to it.
No, I actually just bought an actual for sale property.
It wasn't a mint?
Using that tool, but we can actually show you. If you go to this tool and you search your name, so I'll just go to upx.world and search LOYLDOYL, the name of my character in the game. And then I can go to properties or actually transactions and see that I just now bought 5336 West Hanson Avenue, Chicago. And I can actually Control-C, copy that address. But look, I bought it for 201%. So he probably bought that for $1,300 and sold it for $2,699.
Actually, a bit less than that. Click on that history.
On the history. Yeah, 1,340.
All right, my bad.
And bought it and sold it just now to me. But look at that. That was the cheapest property for sale in all of Chicago, and it was double his investment.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah. All right. So go back to the address.
Do you want me to actually search that?
Yeah. This is something I like to do. I don't think anyone else cares about this kind of thing, but this is just something.
Oh, looking at the street view?
I just love this. Yeah. I know this is ridiculous and it has nothing to do with strategy at all.
No, it does. A lot of players actually care about this. This is something I probably don't look at as much, but you can actually click on
street,
do the more button, and you can see the street view or the Google Maps view of a given property.
Oh,
Let's hope it pulls up and isn't just black screen. Sometimes you're screwed.
Yeah.
And it's just, Let's look at the property right next to it. Well,
It was nighttime
hate
when they
to
filmed.
say it. It was definitely nighttime.
So, anyways, I like looking at, or maybe sometimes I'll just go to like Google Maps in a separate browser. You know, I just like looking at that stuff. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, let's actually look that up.
Because I always think it would be cool to like send a letter to this address and say, hey, guess what? I own the digital version of your house. Hope you feel comfortable with that. Okay, yeah. So
Maybe it's like a.
it's like a little, like maybe a new kind of block.
Maybe these are. Oh, it looks like a townhomes kind of
like
thing,
new little
doesn't it?
townhomes. And you can't drop a little guy. They drop a little guy down there, man.
Where is it?
Like down there at the bottom.
Oh,
right.
here we go. Yeah,
I don't know
let's
if
drop him down.
Is that working? It's like too new of a
Oh,
street.
dude, it's such new. It's so new of a
See?
street that that Google hasn't actually gone there and recorded.
Right. So now I know I just bought a newer property. That doesn't mean anything in the game, but it makes me feel good for some bizarre reason. So okay, so that's. Oh yeah, see.
Yeah, it looks like the closest I can get is like right up here. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, if you live in Chicago and you live in one of these properties that we just clicked on, please don't be freaked out.
Oh wow!
We're
For
not gonna,
whatever reason, it's not.
we're not going to come to your house.
It wasn't actually showing our screen before. Sorry about that.
Okay, so all right, the whole point of that was to talk about how there's third-party tools, right? upx.world, soon to be up to.land will come as well. In upx.world, you can learn all kinds of great history and data, and look find the cheapest thing, find the thing with the lowest markup from the last previous sale. It helps you to formulate your strategy. We talked about a strategy of buying on the floor and then flipping and then making money, and we talked about the great story of 2021 9th Avenue, and that illustrates a couple things. One is 2021 9th Avenue illustrates how you could use upx World to review the history of a particular property. Number two, though more importantly, it talks about what we showed was how a property can increase in value by a significant amount in this game. And if you're a kind of a business nerd or a math guy or maybe an economics geek, I think you'll find this kind of fascinating that you can actually grow a property or an asset from, one amount to 1,600% greater of value.
Yeah.
And make money. And not only is it neat and academic that you can see that can happen, the greatest thing about that is that you can pocket that money and, make a little cash. Okay, so we talked a little bit about Chicago. We mentioned we're going to be making some videos on this, all the how-tos and things. The last thing we want to talk about is collections. Now,
exactly.
In Monopoly, if you're familiar with Monopoly, not only is it a frustrating game that you could play on a Sunday afternoon for about 6.5 hours with family members that you really don't want to be sitting there with 6.5 hours with that person, but if you remember, Monopoly is all about buying and selling properties, right? Or charging rent or whatever as people land on your properties. But those properties become significantly more valuable as they are a part of, as you complete a collection or a Monopoly. So think of Boardwalk and Park Place. That is one collection or one Monopoly in the game of Monopoly. Well, Upland is kind of similar in that when they open up a new city, they designate certain little, landmarks or popular streets or popular areas as collections. And like, for example, in Oakland or in San Francisco, I think there's a Haight-Ashbury, collection. We all know that Haight-Ashbury is kind of like a hotbed of like the hippie movement and the whole not the hippies, but the precursors of the hippies, the beatniks, the Haight-Ashbury area was kind of like the hip, cool place. Well, so that's a great little collection. If you owned any property around that area, then you can put that into the Haight-Ashbury collection in the game, and then the game gives you boosted earnings. So we mentioned that you can make interest off properties.
Exactly.
But if the properties are part of a collection, and then you complete the collection, meaning that you have the minimum requirement of how many properties that meet the criteria for that collection. Some are 2, some are 3, some are 5, whatever. Like 5 properties in a particular collection, you have to have 5 properties that meet this criteria to add to that collection. Whatever it is, once you complete that collection, now you're earning boosted collections on that, or boosted earnings.
Yeah, and we can actually dive in and show you. We'll use my personal profile as an example here. Not trying to show off by any means or anything like that. But we can actually show you what the game would. We covered this at the beginning of the podcast. What the game pays you, just I don't know the percentage, like 0.17 or something. But any property you own, the game pays you back interest as if you're charging rent for someone to live there. And after 36 months or whatever, the game, if you minted a property at the value it was worth when you minted it, the game will pay you back your money in, let's say, I believe it's around 3 years or so.
Okay.
So we can actually dive in and see what my value would be worth. So my current net worth is 64 million upx, or 64,000 US dollars in the game. And for owning all of that property, the monthly income without the boost, the ... here would actually say, we're just kind of zoomed in far here, but it would actually say monthly income without boost is $525. Now, if we go to my account in Upland and we click on my profile, we actually let me go to the other screen where we can share here, and we click this bottom middle button, the ellipsis here, and we click on properties. We can actually see in detail my total net worth, which is represented here in upx.world, and it believes without boost that I will be making $525 a month. But you can actually see what I'm actually making here is $1,600 a month, or 1,603,000 upx per month that the game is paying me, that I get to collect on a daily basis just for the properties that I own. And in order to make that much of an increase, I've had to make very specific decisions. And we can show you, if I go to collections and I go to one of my favorites that I own is actually in Manhattan, okay? And, we can look through all these collections. And as you can see, from the lowest to the highest, it's going up in the boost that it pays out. So the cheapest collection in New York will pay you 1.2 times your investment. The more rare, the rarity of a collection will actually raise the money that it pays out. So let's go up to my Skyline Manhattan collection. This collection is owning 3 skyscrapers in Manhattan that are over 40 floors or taller. So these are 400 feet or taller skyscrapers in Manhattan, which is a super cool collection idea. Imagine that in Monopoly, And I can actually click in and see the 3 properties that I own. These are the only 3, and all 3 of them are earning a 2.64x. So instead of the game paying me 0.17 or whatever, I forget exactly what the number it is, it pays me 0.17 times 2.64 on the interest on those properties. And these are some of the most expensive properties that I own. So as you can see, I believe not that one. One of them that I own is a really expensive property. I think it's this last one. Okay, look at this. So the title, this property alone is worth about $5,000. So of my total investment in Upland, 65 million upx, 5 million of it is is
Just this
into
property.
just this property. And not only that, the game is paying me a 2.64x on the value of that property. So you can see if you click more here, the monthly earnings is between 78,000 and 187,000.
My gosh.
So I have it in the highest paying out collection. Instead of 78,000, I am earning 187,000 upx monthly on that property. And I've repeated that exact process enough times that took me from $500 to $1,600 per month. And that is the best way I can describe the value of focusing on collections and
Right.
focusing on the interest that you can earn.
Right. That's amazing. So when Tyler mentioned earlier that the game will make you money. That's true. But it's all about your strategy and being proactive, because once you understand the principles and the the guidelines / parameters of this game, and use those to your advantage, then you can start making some really good money. And one of the things I like about this game, okay, so I like to buy and invest in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so there are strategies within cryptocurrency to help maximize your investment. But when you look at the individual coin or asset that you're purchasing, the token, there's not so much you can do to control the price of that coin. You're hoping that it's going to go up. Once you purchase, you hope it's going to go up. But that's not, there's nothing you can do. Now, you can buy, low and sell high. Of course, that's a strategy that's well known. But for the most part, if you buy Bitcoin, it's out of your hands what's going to happen to Bitcoin once you make a purchase. It's up to the market. It's up to the catalysts in the market. With Upland, you make a purchase or you invest in a strategy and you can make more. You can actually, the reason why you're making so much more money, yeah, you put in a little bit, to get things started, but at the same time, the return on what your investment has been so far has been far greater than many players in this game because of your strategies. So, if you want some control, if you want the ability to impact how your investment performs, this is a great game for you to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I mentioned why I am so personally, this game is my obsession. This game is my hobby. This game is what I do when I'm not working my 9-to-5 job. Really applying my passion for gaming and my passion for entrepreneurship and investing and making smart business decisions. My desire to do well in this capitalistic society, this competitive society. I love that I can combine gaming and my ability to be good at gaming to make more money.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's freaking amazing. I can't tell you how, I genuinely believe my competitiveness, I mentioned last episode, I love Halo. I love competitive gaming. I love, focusing on my kill-death ratio,
Right.
how many kills I get per how many deaths I get in video games. And I've applied that level of intensity to a game that pays me out for my level of intensity in this game, for how much I focus, for how hard I, try to be better, for the buying decisions I make. And dude, I'm competitive. I look at the leaderboards in the game to see, one of my claims to fame in this game was for over 2 months, I held the top position. Yeah, I'm currently not anymore because I kind of quit listing. I got kind of lazy, I'll admit. But for over 2 months, I held the number 1 position of the most sales, the highest UPX return in game of for the past 30 days, I was holding the number one position. And that's my competitiveness in gaming that's actually helping me make money. Like, I can make real world money with my competitiveness that I have in gaming.
Yeah, see, I want to learn from you and be like you. So this is also becoming my passion. And it's because, both of us, we don't have girlfriends. We just play this game all day in our basements. That's just a joke. At any rate, okay, so in this episode, I think we should probably wrap this up. So we have talked a little bit about third-party tools. Upx.world, up.land is coming as well. Get on the Discord channel for Upland. All these things are going to help you. We talked a little bit about how a property can like shoot up in value in a short amount of time. And we did that through the story of 2021 9th Avenue in Oakland, and we talked about Chicago and all the cool things that are happening in Chicago. Again, if you are new to this game or you're considering it, jump in now because there are still properties in Chicago that are relatively inexpensive. You could buy those.
Yeah, super inexpensive.
Yeah, and then you can sell those for 2 to 3 to 4 to 10 times.
A property you can buy for less than $3. You can go in and buy one right now that within a month you'll be able to sell for $6.
Yeah, do you remember last episode we talked about a guy named
B-Dag.
B-Dag. All right, B-Dag. Not D-Bag, but B-Dag.
Yeah.
So
not douchebag, B-Dag.
Right, Boosh-Dag. So B-Dag started with about $15 and now he's worth like $5,000,
yep.
right? So that's pure profit for that guy. But to do that, you have to get in and get these cheap properties now. Chicago is still available for you to start, buying at the floor.
Which is a tier 1 rare city. Any property you own in this city is higher value than any of the lower tier cities. Oakland, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's immediately higher than all of those properties just because it's a tier 1 city.
Yeah. I mean, no surprise. Chicago might have a greater real estate value than Bakersfield.
Or Fresno. Or Clovis, for that matter.
Right. Or Piedmont. Well, I don't know. Piedmont.
Staten Island.
Right, yeah. Okay, so then we talked about collections and the power of collections and the interest that people are making. Tyler right here is making $1,600 a freaking month off just the interest. He could go to bed and not play this game for another month, and he'll make $1,600 as he sleeps. Right?
It's crazy to think about it that way. As you say it, I don't actually think about it that way when I go to sleep, but it's a nice feeling now that you mention it.
Right, for sure. I'm only making like $300 a month right now. But that's better than nothing, I guess. Okay, so that's a wrap for episode 2. Anything else you want to add, LOYLDOYL?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for joining us. Please like and subscribe. We really appreciate the support. I know we're new. I know this is only our second time podcast. This is the first time Vince or I have actually ever done a podcast, but we're really excited. We plan to do 1 or 2 episodes a week, and we're really excited to jump into these how-to videos. So make sure to go to youtube.com/The Upland Show, just as you see here, and we have a lot more exciting stuff to share with you.
That's right. And until then, my friends, enjoy the metaverse.
Enjoy.